to update you on a few things. I wanted to say hello, beautiful Vermonters and beautiful visitors coming up through Vermont. And I hope everyone's having a really safe, happy winter. I do actually know a few people who have fallen due to weather conditions this past month. So I hope you're being really safe. I've had some near incidents myself, although I caught myself. So I wanted to share a few things with you. First, I want to talk to you about Umi and Mashuke. So let me put the video, see if you can, you really can't see them. Now you see here the way I have this, kind of like that. This is what's going on with them, and I wanted to share with you a few things. So one is that because they're getting closer to their mating season and becoming and maturing and becoming more adult finches. So with that, I noticed some changes in behavior, and I had to make some changes. And one of them was, and you know, I am a bird, cat, dog, animal. I love, love, love animals. So I am not an expert. So if there's something I notice that's different, I'm very observant. I will research and figure out what it is going on. So what was happening is a couple things. Mashuki, the male, hi Mashuki. He's sitting up at the very top right now. I don't know if you can see him. He's very tiny, and he's right over here. So anyway, so he was starting to, have some aggressive behavior, and he was starting to act. He was spatting a lot. He was starting to spat. I noticed a few times a day. I noticed it a couple of days in a row. So one day I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't, because it's normal for them to spat. But when it's like 2 days and he's still very upset, that I start paying attention. So a couple things that I had gotten this is a little seed, bird seed dish, and it's new. It's very simplistic. There's two bird seed bowls at the bottom of their cage that they're normally used to. They grew up with that. That's what they love. But I added that one because I felt like, well, let's see if it works. Let's see if the bird seed, if they like it better. Because in the bowls, I noticed they're dropping the shells, right? And dropping droppings. So I wanted to get them something a little cleaner, and I put that one. Now, something very interesting. Yeah, these are finches. These are called society finches. For those of you just scrolling in, coming in, and they're little pet finches. The reason they're not super, they're not super, what do you call it, popular, is people are always looking for the zebra finches. I don't even think they know that these finches are out there. These are adorable. I call them like little dinosaurs. Seriously, they're really smart. So anyway, this is what happened. Umi, who is the female finches, and I just want to add something before I go on. The psychologists and the science community are studying these birds, okay? Because their relationships are so fine. They're so fine. Look, the finches seek out their own partners in the wild. And when they're placed with a partner, like these two are, without having, being able to go out and make a decision, so to speak, They may be completely incompatible. They're either this is the interesting thing about finches and why they're studying them. They're either completely compatible or completely incompatible. And humans can learn an incredible amount from them. So the female, in this case, Umi, she checks anything that is new in that cage. So I was really shocked to read that and, find that out through research, because I would have thought it'd be the male. I was always wondering, why is Mashuki always sitting and watching her test out everything? It is in their DNA. The female checks out the food. She makes sure it's safe to eat. She checks out the toys. She makes sure they're safe to play with. I'm not kidding you. She checks out the nest at night and makes sure it's adequate bedding. You can't make this stuff up. But I put this in this little bird feeder. Now I need to get another one. So, but because I have two birds, I thought, well, if I add a third feeder, that will just make it so, I wanted to see if they eat more out of that feeder because the seed is fresh. And they do, actually. But what happened initially is Mashuki got very upset over that feeder. He just was beside himself. And I had taken one of the bowls out at one point because I'm like, oh, well, they're going to eat out of the feeder and they only need one bowl in the feeder. He got very upset. I had to put the bowl back in. So he didn't like the change. The other thing is he is now calmed way down because there was another element that was going on. The other thing that was going on, apparently, as they're maturing, they want the nest covered. You see here how I've got that? Now, I kind of was doing that anyway, but it was becoming even more of a sensitivity to Mashuki, to the male, for some reason. She's totally fine. Umi, the female, comes up to me. She comes up here and sits on her little perches, and she looks and looks and looks at me like rubbernecking. Like she stretches her neck out. It's the most adorable. And she'll chirp and talk to me. The other thing that Umi does, the female, is, and I finally grasped what was going on. When I go to the kitchen sink and turn the water on, like in the afternoon, like I could do it in the morning and you won't hear anything from her. I do it in the afternoon and she chirp, 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 like really loud, like she's calling me. She's calling for clean water. She wants it changed, because I typically change it 2 times a day anyway. But she specifically will hear the water from the faucet and call for it. She will not do that after she has given her fresh water in the morning. I could turn it, because I tested it, I turn it on again, and she doesn't call because she has her water. Anyway, these are some very intricate, super intelligent birds. Just a little detail to share. Now, so that's what's going on with Mashuki and Umi. And I also bought them. I'm going to show you the toy. Let me show you what I bought them. And I need to be very, very careful about how and when I put this in. So I'm going to get it out of their drawer. And they will be seeing this well before it goes in the cage. Like, I will start putting this outside the cage, because look how big it is. And this is a small one. This is a rope piece. Now what it does is it bends. Oh my gosh. You're supposed to be able to bend it. It's movable. I can't do it. It's some weakling. But you just put it in, and it's so nice for their little claws. They just like to put their little claws in here. But I want to be really, really careful with this. I saw it in the cages over at PetSmart for the little finches that they had there. And the finches were sitting on it, and so were the parakeets. So I was looking at all the toys that they had in there, and they apparently are safe. I always want to make sure it's safe. But so one of the things I've learned with them is they will actually recognize this outside the cage as to when it's put inside the cage. So because this is so big, I'm not just going to put it in the cage. I'll have it on the outside of it for a little while. And then they'll get curious, and then they won't be so nervous about it. And so anyway, that's a little rope that I got them. So I wanted to share that with you too. And one other thing I think is super important. So I was reading that, yes, you can give them lettuce, but you need to be very careful with the lettuce because it actually fills them up to the point where they won't eat their other food. So I gave them just a teeny, and it's different. You can give them basil, you can give them thyme, you can give them parsley. These are all little herbs, peppermint. These are all little greens and herbs I give them, spinach, and they're totally fine with it. You give them lettuce, and it fills them up. Like they will not eat their other food. So I gave them just like a little bit of lettuce, and it is absolutely true. They were not, the next day they just weren't eating. So that really concerned me. As much as they like the lettuce and they like to hydrate, they can hydrate better and not be affected that way with cucumbers. And these guys love cucumbers. They're not so wild about their fruits. Why, I don't know. They won't eat their strawberries and bananas. And one other thing I want to share with you about the finches that I've learned, in case you all have pet finches out there. So it said also that you can give them, in my research, you can give them like a little bit of tomato, but be very careful and keep an eye on them. Don't give them too much. So I gave them just a teeny tiny bit. And Umi did not sit well with it, with her stomach at all. She upchucked it, and she sat in her nest for the day and rested. She did. She like literally had a stomach ache from the tomato. So no more tomato, but that was just a try to see how they liked it, and no lettuce. So just to kind of share that with you. All the birds may be different, but their general makeup is the same. So I thought I'd share. Now, the other thing I want to share with you, and I've learned, yes, what you saying, sweethearts? Hi, Umi. That's the female. Hi, honey. How are you? How's the baby girl? So she's a sweetheart. They're both sweet. Anyway, okay, so with that, let me turn the camera. Wait till you see this. I was talking, sent my son a picture of this and said, do you want to see an alien? Look at this. You know, this is Lily. This is Lily, the orchid that we ingest. We named her Lily on this channel. And she had, if you can, I'm going to put this down. You see right here the buds coming? So she had 12 buds last July 4th. I know, it was my birthday. They bloomed on July 4th. And then she had them right to the week of September 28th, which is my mom's birthday. And guess what? All of them died, but that was 2 months of full blooms. Gorgeous. Look at the shoots. Now, you know why she has shoots like that? There's a couple reasons. I'm just going to hold it down here. One reason is that, yes, they're thriving and doing beautifully and this and that, but I don't think that's the reason. The second reason is the roots are stressed and they're looking for any way that they can to survive. That's what these shoots are. So let me just show you the bottom part. I'm going to be getting Lily Orchid to a professional one day soon. But I put her in a bigger pot than she was in, and I added lots of beautiful dirt. The dirt is beautiful when it's nice and clean, okay? And added a bunch of water, and she started with the buds. So I think these shoots, let me tell you something about the shoots. They started in December, which is kind of odd because there was a lot going on in December. I had to keep moving Lily to like a different part of the apartment. And I'm telling you, I look at plants like I look at pets. These are living entities. They pick up your vibes, they pick up your negative vibes, your positive vibes, its surroundings. Even if you are very careful with the plant itself, and you just pick the whole thing up and just place it in another pot to plant, dirt. The roots are so sensitive, it may make it, it may not. Even if you hardly have moved it, because it knows. It's like its nerve endings. But I will wake up in the morning because I had to move it into my bedroom, and these were longer. Like every morning, they were a little bit longer, like growing really quickly. But that's the reason. There's two reasons. Oh, let me read it. Hang on a second. I had it here. Here it is. Let me read this to you. So if your orchid is growing shoots, they're called key kiss. Keikis. For those of you scrolling, we're talking about this orchid. And why does it have all of these huge shoots? Kind of like a hand coming out. But the shoots are called key kiss, or baby plants, or new flower spikes. They're just not looking like that to me, though, but that's what they're called. They're often triggered by good conditions or stress, like root rot. Now, the roots were not rotting. However, they were coming up. These shoots were coming down. The roots were coming up, and I thought something different. Totally, this like plant needs help. So it's signaling either thriving or propagating or trying to survive by, check this out, by creating clones with key kiss, that's this, appearing, from the base or spikes, and new spikes emerging from nodes on the flower stem after blooming. This is AI, okay? I really don't want AI to take over the other websites, but for this particular, I did read it. So now, common reasons for shoots. So again, it says key kiss, I love this word, Keikis, or plantlets. Have you ever heard of that? Plantlet, like a piglet, plantlet. That's how the word is. These are genetically identical babies. I know you're going to think I'm absolutely crazy, but hey, we're in Vermont. We get most of the alien or UFO sightings. They may not all be alien. You know what I mean? They may be just some high-tech stuff going on. However, That's what this makes me think of, kind of like an alien hand coming out. But these are genetically identical babies that form on the mother plant, common in Phalaenopsis and Dendrobium orchids as a survival mechanism or a natural propagation. New flower spikes is a healthy plant might send up a secondary spike from a node on the old one, or a new spike from the base, especially after a temperature drop. Okay, that is when this started to occur, when it started to get really cold and I had to take it away from the window and move it into another room. So that must be what happened. But I really want it to be, and then it says here, stress response. The key kiss often mean the plant feels threatened. Check for root rot, mushy roots, overwatering, dense moss, or lack of light or humidity. I would say it was lack of light and humidity. Root system. Look at the roots, healthy, firm roots and leaves, not yellow and wilted. So the leaves are okay. The only thing going on is on this side, there is a little bit, if I can turn it, there's a little bit of, right here, discoloration on that stem. So anyway, it is a beautiful plant. Her name is Lily. I just love this plant. So I'm going to put her over to the side. Now, she's in the window now, and I think getting the adequate attention and every temperature and everything she needs. So now the other thing I wanted to share with you is before we get to this article, and I have to find the article again. Here it is. Vermont has been, in my opinion, the weather has been very odd. So today it's raining, kind of raining. They said a wintry mix. And it was early morning, a little ice. But it's mostly kind of like just a sprinkling kind of throughout the day. Nothing is really melting. But it is up to like, it's been about 38 degrees. I was just gonna check and see what the temperature is now, if it gives it to me. Oh, 34. It's 34 right now, so it's just above freezing. But what I want to say is this. For those of you who know Vermont, you know the gorges, you know the rivers, you know the lakes, you know the safety issues that may occur. So during the winter, you know, the earth and under the water and all of it shifting, everything shifts, especially when you have these sharp temperature drops and then the high temperatures. You know it, you know what it's called, frost heaves. You see the frost heaves in Vermont in the roads, the bumps in the roads. So you've got to realize that the bumps in the roads at the surface, that kind of thing is going on below also. So a lake or a gorge or an area that you know, a stream, even a stream, okay? These areas that you know really well, they can be shifting and moving and things can be happening during the winter. I know that's not rocket science. However, a lot of people will go out on the lake and they know the lake and they're saying, well, I know that this is about this much ice, you know. And then the difference going on, as I'm understanding it from Vermonters and people go out in the ice, is that what's normally the same amount of ice in areas that they know in the past are not. They're like, just not. It's not ice. It's all of a sudden it's going to break. So you need to be super careful. The ice fishermen are noticing these differences. But if you're new to Vermont, you're hiking this and that, you know, you have your walking stick, test that stream before you're going to walk over through it if you're hiking. Test it. Just test it. Um, that's not a bad idea. So anyway, with that, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because 34, 38 degrees, that's above freezing, and we're having a lot of that right now. And then I guess the temperature is going to drop again a little bit, or a lot, and for about a week, and then it's going to come back up. So with that, when that temperature comes back up, guys, guess what? We're talking about spring. I mean, we are now on January 15th. Once we get through February, right after Valentine's Day, we're heading for March. Granted, March 40 years ago was kind of, blizzard and snowing and muddy and cold, and it wasn't really spring. But things have changed over the past 40, 50 years, the temperatures in Vermont. So we're going to be maybe experiencing much more spring weather. I'm not an expert, but that's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm hearing. So with that, when we talk about spring, we're talking about the birds getting ready to nest. And this particular article I want to read to you, or share with you, and react with you, is by Birds and Blooms. And it's called What to Do If You Find a Bird Nest with Eggs or a Baby Bird. Some of you already know the answer to this and you have found baby birds, but some people haven't, and it might be new to them. So this article is by Rachel Liska, reviewed by Ken and Kimberly Kaufman. We're talking about Birds in Bloom article about what do you do if you find a bird nest with eggs or baby bird. And it's fact-checked by Kristen Schroeder, and it was just updated July 2024. So what do you do if you find a abandoned bird nest with eggs, or if you see a baby bird on the ground? What is it you think that you should do? What do you think you should do, guys? Okay, I've heard, oh, thank you. So let's see, who is that? Hi, I didn't get the name. Cacho, Kasha? How are you? Thank you for being here. So, one of the things we've been told is do not touch the nest, right? Call the firefighters, I guess. That's a good answer. I like that. I do like that. Okay, let's see what it says. Birds gather twigs, leaves, and any nesting materials they can get their beaks on to create a cozy home for for the rest of the year. So with an increasing loss of natural habitat, this totally infuriates me. I have to be so careful on what I say when this because you know how they say that certain things really get to people. This really gets to me because yes, in Vermont things are spacey and there's still lots of trees, but I have to tell you, I have seen the wildlife systematically pushed back. I have seen it right in front of my face. And when I say that, I'm talking about fields and farms and areas where you would normally see deer, moose, bears, birds, great blue herons. You would see the wildlife. You don't see them because now you're seeing an apartment building where they want $2,000-3,000 a month. I'm not kidding you. That is what they're charging. That is what it is. So on top of human beings not being able to have their nests or their homes, our habitat can't have them either. Anyway, you know me, we're not going there right now. So we'll finish the article. But so with an increasing loss of natural habitat, so this is a fact, it's only a matter of time until a budding brood moves into your backyard. Here's what you should do if you find an abandoned baby bird in its nest. So then it starts here. It's not just giving us the answer we're reading. Okay. Where a bird chooses to build the nest is not always convenient for humans, but remember, it isn't every day that you're given a front row seat to the most exciting cycles of nature. If possible, be hospitable and find another way to enter your home. Okay, so I didn't think of that one, kind of like go around them. But I would think of predators if they're out in the yard. Let's see what else it says. Your feathered visitors stay only for a handful of weeks. Alert anyone who might frequent the door and keep pets away from the nesting area. Follow these tips for successful nesting season. If there are no alternative ways to enter, contact, and someone who is at Kasho said it, contact your local wildlife agency to ask for assistance. Bingo. I did that too. I had forgotten till I was reading this. It wasn't like a teeny baby bird, but it was a bird, and it seemed like it just wasn't, like it needed help. It wasn't really going about doing its thing. So I called the wildlife, and they said exactly that. Just let it be, make sure it has food and water, and just let it stay outside your door. And it did take off eventually. But yeah, contact your local wildlife agency. Moving a nest on your own may be technically, oh, did you know this, guys? May technically violate the law. Now, I know that for different things that you're trying to gather, like you may try to pick or gather, there's certain things you cannot touch. But this is interesting. I didn't know that. So you think you're helping and you could be violating the law. So do not move the nest, guys. Although some birds like house sparrows and starlings aren't protected by these laws, most bird species are covered. So learn about different kinds of bird nests and how to spot them. I found an abandoned bird's nest with these eggs. Let me show you. I guess I'll just turn it towards you. Just, you can see it. These are the most beautiful bright blue eggs. Look at that. Are those just gorgeous? That's just so beautiful. Just such a beautiful sky blue. So, okay. It's unlikely the adults have abandoned the bird's nest with eggs. Many birds don't start incubating until the last egg is laid, which is why you might not see the parents for some time. Or maybe you've lingered too long and they're waiting for you to take off. Even spooked birds might likely will return within a day or two. So I just want to add something to that, just having these adorable little finches right here. Birds are incredibly intelligent. I know we just love to watch them, but there's so much more to their intelligence. It's like, yes, they could take off. They're going to know exactly where to come back. Okay. Do birds reuse their nests? On the off chance that the pair does not return, it probably means the eggs are not viable. Give yourself plenty of time to come to this conclusion. However, don't discard any nest or its contents without first reaching your local wildlife agency. Most birds and their nests are protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which states that it is illegal to take, possess, import, export, transport, sell, purchase, or barter any part of the nest or eggs, unless you hold a valid permit. Okay, so, you might think you're doing something like, oh, hey, I'm going to go collect those eggs. Those look different. Those are really pretty color. But no, don't touch them. Now, the reason they're strict like this is because we have a problem today with wildlife. The numbers are going down in so many hundreds of species. The numbers are going down. that's why they're saying, um, don't touch them. Um, One thing I want to cover with you, I would like to do for the next video, is what to do about your pet finch or your pet bird's nest. Because my little sweethearts, they have the little half coconut shell and they nest in there. They clean their nest. I see them doing this. And I look into it and it's clean. So I want to research a little bit. There are no eggs in their nest, and they are still maturing. There may never be eggs in there. It depends. It really does. It's, we can hope, but we just don't know. Okay. Oh, and they've got something here. What to do if you find a baby bird. Okay. If you find a young bird with no feathers, it probably fell out by accident. Put it back. Oh, listen to this. Put it back in the nest. I've learned not to even touch it. But this says, put it back in the nest or fasten a small box filled with shredded paper towel to the tree. It's a myth that birds abandon babies upon human contact. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Wash your hands to avoid spreading disease. So, wow. So, okay, guys, for those of you scrolling, if you didn't get that, I'm going to probably repeat this a few times through the spring and summer because I didn't know that was a myth. So this is saying, yeah, if you see a teeny tiny little baby bird with no feathers on the ground, this is saying put it back in the nest if you can, or fasten a small box filled with shredded paper towel to the tree. So, maybe the mother, parents will come back and, sit on the nest that way, I guess is what they're saying. So if it's a fledgling, if the baby bird has feathers, it most likely left the nest on purpose. So while it can't fly yet, a fledgling gets around well enough to avoid predators and find food. And mom and dad are usually nearby. And I've seen that a number of times. When they do fly the coop, if they're having any trouble eating, the mothers will come down. Oh, there's Umi. That's Umi talking. Hi. Hi, Umi. She's responding to music she's hearing in the background. So what if the baby bird is hurt? If the fledgling is in danger, move it to a safer spot. If it's injured, contact your local wildlife agency or rescue immediately. Do not attempt to take care of it yourself, because guess what? It's illegal. Now, some people are probably saying, oh, well, who knows? Who would know? Well, if it has a disease and you catch it, they're going to for sure know, because you're going to need medical attention. That's why they're saying don't do this on your own. You don't know if it's injured because it's sick, or it's injured because it fell, or it's injured because another bird got it. It's best to call and let them handle it. And they know how to, they have spaces where they can put it in a safe place and incubate it and keep it away from people until they know what's going on with the bird. If the little one you found has feathers, it's best not to interfere. That bird called a fledgling most likely left the confines of the nest on purpose. While it can't fly yet, a fledgling spends a couple of days wandering around. Sounds like me. Hiding in the shrubs or low branches. Rest assured, its mom and dad are waiting in the wings nearby to protect it. In fact, you may even hear their scolding calls if you get too close to the little one. I have experienced that. There's a spot, a very particular spot, every single year, the same spot, same tree. It's on the corner of the reservoir in Williston, Vermont. There's a cluster of these trees on four corners of the reservoir, but there's a particular corner that the birds love because it's right near where there's a little fish, and the great blue herons come and fish there, and the seagulls fish there, and so the birds and the cranberries and everything fall from the tree. So, and people throw food out. It's like a perfect area for baby birds. So, however, if you find a hatchling which is very young with no feathers, it probably fell out by accident, and in case gently put the. I'm surprised that they're saying this. One minute they're saying don't touch it. I guess if it's injured, don't touch it. But you know that it's obviously a baby bird. They're saying, okay, put it back in the nest. If the nest is not accessible, set the nestling in a small container filled with shredded paper towels. Fasten it firmly to the tree trunk, so I don't know what you would, nail it to the tree trunk or place it in a nearby shrub in hopes that the parent will care for it. It's a common myth that adults abandon baby birds upon human contact. Okay, but be sure to wash your hands after so no spreading disease. So here's a baby fledgling ready to go. How cute is that? So, and you see how perfectly they make their nests. It's amazing. Over on Echo Art with Carmela T, we're going to be making more nests like this. This is simply twine with, this is a deco piece. This is not twine. You never want to give wild birds or your birds twine, ever. They will choke on that. But this is just an art piece. It's a nest. Okay, let's see here. Want to do more? Become a certified nest watch monitor. Visit active nests every 3 to 4 days and report your findings to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Get started at nestwatch.org. I think this is a good idea, but to commit to it, I'm going to write this down. So it's called nestwatch.org. So this just helps them if you do spot a nest and it's in an area that you can get to, and you can kind of keep an eye on it and report to them what's going on. It would be helpful. And nowadays, I've got to tell you, we need all the help we can get to help the wildlife. So with that, I hope that article was interesting to you. That was by Birds and Blooms, and it was called What to Do If You Find a Bird Nest with Eggs or a Baby Bird. So with that, thank you so much for being with me today, guys. I hope you have a beautiful day, and we're going to take a rain walk up through one of the towns here in Vermont. What doesn't have to be a rain walk. We'll see how the weather is tomorrow. I'm planning on tomorrow to do a little walk and bring you with me. So you have a beautiful day.